All right, this is for my generational curse breakers out here. Whether you are currently breaking a curse or whether you are looking to break a curse, I'm about to I'm about to share my experience with you. But first, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren, and I am your resident intuitive baddie. If you haven't, or I'm sure that this is gonna be one of many strings of videos that is going to be centered around this car break-in that I experienced yesterday. So, long story short, I had a great weekend. I met a lot of people that I believe to be my soul tribe. I really got to display who I am by stepping fully into my spiritual path as a guide, a teacher. I did a lot of readings over the weekend, a lot of free mini readings for a bunch of people, and every reading resonated with everyone. Even I think there were like maybe one or two where they didn't actually say anything, but it's like one of those where it's like, I knew it resonated, but they didn't want it to. Anyways, so I stepped out of this weekend feeling very full, and then even on the Monday after the weekend, I had even more synchronicities happen. I met another person, and then I ran into one of the vendors, this couple that was at the expo that I really connected well with. So on Monday night when I came home, I was on a high vibe. I still am, to be very honest. Because, yeah, when this car break-in happened overnight on Tuesday morning when I woke up and my landlord woke me up to tell me, I was calm through it all. And I keep saying that as soon as I found out, like the very first thought that I had was something big was coming for me. Like something good. Something good was going to happen. I saw this. I immediately recognized this situation as a turning point or a turn. It's like the tower moment just before everything takes off is how I'm seeing this. And yeah, the more that I think about it, the more that I notice it or I bring awareness to it, the more that I'm really understanding about how this is playing a role in the grand scheme of things. So like I said, I initially have, what I've been telling everybody is that, I was calm as soon as I heard about it, and that's the thought that I had. But I would even say, like, as I went out to go check on the car and to see the damage that was done, I think the biggest thing is that it's like I didn't really react, or at least I responded to the situation. I didn't react to it. That's one thing that I'd say that that was a discovery of today. But I was talking to somebody who had ended up donating to me. It was another single mom, because she was actually commending me as well for being brave enough to ask for help. And like, you guys don't understand how deep that runs. Confirmation message, confirmation notification. But yeah, a couple months ago, I knew there were generational curses that I needed to break that had to do with my finances. My parents trigger each other's wounds. They both have some sort of wound of lack, but they're parallel in a sense. My mom grew up in the Philippines, and from what I know, her family was poor. And part of the reason why she ended up moving out of the Philippines and ended up traveling to Canada was because she didn't want to be poor. But as you might know, if depending on how much you've learned about frequency and most of the metaphysical stuff that I talk about on this channel, she maintained that frequency of lack. So even though she would make more money, she was constantly met with things that confirmed to her belief, which was that she had no money. Because even right now, we are like, this house is a bungalow, meaning like it's detached, which to some, like, when you don't think about it, but other people who live in a house that's attached to something, or in an apartment or anything like that, like, to own property is a sign of wealth, especially in Toronto, man. But my mom is the type that constantly talks about being like, just things that make it seem like we're poor, right? Like she'll constantly talk about how expensive things are, or constantly talk about how hard money is. Anyways, so one of the things that she attracted in this type of frequency was my dad. So my dad, he didn't grow up poor. He grew up in Jamaica, and I would say that he always had enough, but he was like, from a young age, he was a gambler. He still kind of does. Anyways, he bets on horses. That's what he did, I guess, as a teen with his brothers and his closest friends, and it's something that he continued on into adulthood, to the point where there was a point in time that I remembered, because this is when I actually found out about this, or about this addiction he had, because I was roped into it, where he would borrow money from people and he would pretty much just shuffle it around the people instead of actually paying off whatever his debts were. So they attracted each other, because what happened was, when my parents got married and throughout my life, which up until that point that I was roped in, I didn't know, but pretty much every time my dad would gamble and get himself into a hole, my mom would cover it up and use her hard-earned money for it. Almost to the point where they have had this house longer than I've been alive, and it's not paid off. And it's not paid off because my mom has paid her half, but because of my dad's irresponsibility, they've had to, it's like, if they finished a mortgage, they ended up taking another one out. I think they consolidated it at once, and then it's just like a bunch of shit like that, which is like, yeah, it's just like my mom covering my dad's debts. It just, like, those debts just kept eating away at certain things. So it's like my mom attracted somebody who would continuously confirm to her way of looking at lack, and which is that money, like, by money drain. And my dad was a drain. He would, like, he had times in like points in his life where he was doing well. Like, I think when he actually met my mom, he was doing well as well. He was working for the TTC, which here in Toronto is like our transit commission. And he worked there for like 10 years, and he was pretty good. It was, from my understanding, it was when his mom passed that he fell back into that trap again. Anyways, so I'm telling you this because in the situation that I experienced yesterday, I'm realizing that I actually broke both curses. And it's kind of funny because, like I said, I was aware of these generational curses. I remember there was a significant time, I would say either in December or January, something like that. Like either early January or late December, where I thought that my financial blocks, not thought, I mean, they do stem from these generational curses, but I thought that the way to break these curses was to go to my parents and confront each of them. I confronted my dad. I remember I was literally like, I am here to tell you that, or I just wanted to talk to him. I wanted to see if he recognized where the pattern came from. And then I remember, because I don't know if it's delusion or if he's just lied to himself for so long that he's able to justify taking so much money from people and never giving it back, and then continuing to still do this shit. Where it's like, anyways, but yeah, I thought confronting him was something I needed to do. And then there was another point where I thought it was me asking my mom for money and not being afraid to ask her for money or to ask her for help. And neither of those things helped. Or like, sorry, they helped me at further, but it didn't help break the curse. And I know that because for one, I was still, like, money wasn't flowing in how it should be. And for two, it didn't feel like I did. It still felt like things that had some sort of hold on me. So how am I sure that I broke it now? Well, in the events that happened yesterday, what happened was this unexpected thing happened, right? This car break-in. Obviously, I knew that meant that I'd have to pay for repairs. And right now, because I have been off of work for 6 months, I've had a specific loan or a business loan program fuck with me all of that 6 months, I want to say. So it's like there was a lot of delay when it came to really getting my business going. I can't see how it could just be a coincidence that the week that things look like they're starting to pick up, where I have the best weekend of my life because I finally really step into my calling, that I get hit with one of the most random financial burdens that could have come my way at this time. And like, let me tell you, I have been for a while just at, or what is it called when like you're like in the water and you're just, I think, just above the surface. I have been just above the surface for far longer than most people usually would. And it's been interesting because I'm like, I've been trying to understand why, in a sense. It's like, and I've been letting go, and like slowly I've been letting go of it, or I've been letting go of everything, really. I've let go of the timing of things. I've let go on how fast things should be going. I've let go of trying to be the one to initiate when these lessons resolve. And that's what I was doing before, when I had tried to confront my dad and when I had tried to ask my mom before. And this situation, when this happened, I was, like I said, I was very calm. Did I say that? Or did I say that in the video, in the in the intro that I deleted? I don't remember. But I was very calm when it happened, and my landlord told me, no, I think I did say this. My initial thought was this is a setup for something great. But anyways, so after I looked at the damage, and even when I was looking at the damage, like, part of me was kind of laughing. Part of me was imagining this person breaking into my car, which I have, like, I would call it a starter Benz, because it's like it's a pretty small sedan, and like the windows aren't huge either. And the only way to not set off the alarm is they had to have crawled in through that broken window, which again, very small, unless this person is as small as me, which even then is like, it still sucks because you're like, you have to climb through and then you're landing on this glass. Anyways, so like, yeah, I was imagining this person having to shimmy through this window and then looking all around my car only to find like a stroller, fake grass, and clothes, like girl clothes that don't have any significant value for resale or anything like that. So it's just like, I remember I was laughing specifically at the fake grass. I remember I was like, yo, they think the grass was greener inside the car and they couldn't tell it was fake. It's inside the car. Just like stupid shit like that is how I was thinking. And then when I went back inside, I went and I meditated on it. And when I was meditating on it, that's when like the GoFundMe came to mind, because that is not like, if you had told me last week that that's how I was going to deal with the situation, I would have been like, huh? But it's because there's something about the energy that I had this past weekend, that I have from this past weekend. Because honestly, that energy feels permanent. It's like, even whatever, like the sentiment of that energy, which is just me feeling accepted as myself. Like me really and truly embodying the version of me that I've wanted to be, or that I am meant to be. The version of me that feels right, not just the version of me that I chose to be, the version of me that feels right. Because yeah, there was a bunch of things that I shed and changed intentionally, or like to meet a specific goal, but there were also a lot of directions that I was given the way to. Like the fact that you're even seeing me here on this platform at all is one of those things, is an example of one of those things, because it's something that I never would have thought to do, at least as the old version of myself. But when I meditated on it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to set up this GoFundMe and I'm going to ask people for help. Because I think one of the things that I was ruminating on during that meditation was, how willing are you to accept or ask and receive help? Something that you learn when you get deep into like real manifestation. And by that I mean like the actual metaphysics of it, like the hermetic law, universal laws and all of that, not just visualization and making a dream board. Like one of the things that is raised, or is your ability to ask and to receive. Because if you feel a way about asking for help, and if you feel a way about receiving help, like if you are the type of person who is hyper independent and you don't need help from nobody, the universe isn't going to help you. You know why? Because you need, or the universe has to use people as a means to get that money to you. Money can only flow to and from you with the use of other people, right? It's like if you're expecting the universe to just drop some cash out of thin air, wrong dimension, first of all. But basically what I mean is just that, yeah, it's like you can't have that tie of shame in having other people help you, especially when you know your intentions are pure. So that's pretty much what I told myself, because it's like, yeah, I probably could have asked my mom again, but the problem is that the help I would have received from her isn't actually help, it's conditional. And I am not willing to trade anything that disturbs my peace or my energy, especially for something that is such a 3D thing. It's like I would rather just leave it and deal with the consequences of that than to deal with the consequences of receiving help from her. Because it's like, because that is what's attached to that is going to be constant shame and just like holding it over me kind of thing. And yeah, it's just like I don't fuck with that. Like, I'm not owned by anybody, if that makes sense. And yeah, like for one, it was very overwhelming to get support from so many people, especially like I had some people donate that I hadn't talked to in years. I have one that I'm not even following because this girl doesn't have an actual profile picture. So I literally was like, I have no idea who this is. So yeah, it's like I typically don't follow people unless I can tell who they are, or if I can't tell who they are, it's like I must at least know your name. But it's not that I don't know her name. It's just I'm getting too far off this tangent. It's just like one of those things where it's just like I'm not entirely sure I wasn't entirely sure who she was or if she was a real person. So I didn't follow her back from whenever it was that she probably followed me. But anyways, my point is that I got a lot of support, and it was like a lot of people who I took it as giving to me because they see something in me, especially with everything that I've been posting recently, everything that I've shared, everything that I've worked on recently. Like, people can see that I'm not just sitting on my ass, and I'm doing something. Like, I'm really trying to do something that impacts this world. And I had a couple people say that, more or less, or just even with the one that I was talking to that kind of sparked the idea for this or like the idea to record this video. But like me being brave enough to ask for help, it's like it's just another one of those things that is now a part of my story that I can use for other people. And that's why I feel like it's a setup for something bigger, because for me to go through this and to not react and like respond to it the way that I did, to be able to put my pride aside, ask for help, because I never do. I'm 30, right? And I'm so used to doing things by myself because that's what I was taught to do. That's what I followed my mom in doing. And like, looking back, there's so many instances where that has hindered me. This is actually something that was an issue in the marriage that I left, because on my side, like, that's one of the things that I take accountability for, because even though we were married, I took on my burdens, or I looked at finances as only my problem, when we were literally in union, or like we had committed to being in union, and I wasn't sharing my problems. So to ask for help was a huge step. And even if I hadn't asked, and then on to, much less to ask for help and money, because I'm sure that there were people that looked down on me for it. Like, I am sure that there are people that looked at my post and were just like, wow, she must have, like, but I don't think about those people. I don't care. I don't care what those people think, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't care what anybody thinks, because at the end of the day, nobody has lived your whole life experience, and nobody can completely judge any decision you make aside from yourself. So it's like, if you feel judgment from other people, or if you feel other people are judging you and you're bothered by it, that speaks to something that just speaks to you judging you. Note. So yeah. So basically, getting back to the whole point of this video is, I broke the curses because I was put in a position where the way that I handled it was different from how either of my parents would have handled it. It's like, one of the things I've always been so scared of, and the reason why I keep, I guess, finances as a burden that only I take care of, or like only I shoulder, is because, I saw my mom depend on, my dad depend on my mom and a bunch of other people only to do nothing. And I think I was really scared of becoming like him in that regard. But you know what they say, or I don't know if this is what they say, but if you don't deal with the subconscious patterning, your subconscious will run the show. Meaning, it's just like, it didn't matter that I didn't want to turn out like him. One of the things that was happening was, I was, by nature, I was turning out like him, because I was having, or like, because I had all this debt. And then, like, my mom deals with is the type of person who would cover that up, because for her, she didn't want to feel, or like, she doesn't want to feel shamed by everybody, because she cares too much about what people think. But I am so comfortable with myself at this point in time that I know that if I'm going to ask other people for anything, that I intend to put that energy back into the universe in any which way. And so I have no reason to feel shameful about it, or to feel guilty or anything like that, because because I genuinely just needed the help. I just needed the help to get through this one situation, because I know my path is destined for so much more, and that I can give back in ways that are 10x what was given to me. And yeah, and so I did it, and I don't regret it. And this is a story I know I'm going to be telling for years. And I think that's why it's so significant that this happened right after this weekend, because this weekend, like I said, I got to share my story, or I got to share parts of my story, really vulnerable parts of me, with people through these tarot readings. And in those, like in that, through this weekend, it's helped me find meaning in a bunch of the shitty things that happened in my life prior. So when this happened, I was able to recognize it as another one of those moments that someday I'm going to be sharing with a bunch of other people. And I can't say this enough, or like I can't shake this feeling that like this is pivotal. This is a pivotal moment. And if you're watching this, stay tuned, because I'm sure that I'm sure it won't be long before you see why I'm right. And the moral of the story is, you will know if you've truly broken the generational curse, if you are faced with something, if you are faced in a situation that is your worst fear based on that curse, and you get through it with grace, and you're able to respond rather than react, when you're able to make clear decisions about how to move in that situation, rather than falling back on whatever you usually do or whatever you've seen done, or trying to even force results if you think you're ahead of it. It's like the universe will always be the one to present the lesson. I had this download a while back, but everything is in divine timing always. Everything. Whether it's lessons, whether it's blessings, it is always in divine timing. You can't, there's certain things you just can't control. And it's like, it doesn't matter how much you learn something, there's certain things you don't truly learn until you have the experience to apply. Yeah, and I think I'm going to leave it there. So before I completely close it out, if you are having trouble shifting your mindset, if you are having trouble with aligning your actions, your thoughts, anything with the frequency of like your highest self, the version of yourself that you want to live, the version of the life you want to live, then please do go down in the description and reach out to me if you would like to join any of my programs, because I do a lot of self-concept work, whether it's for a decision, an area of your life, or your entire life. I don't just give you advice on how to do it. That can pretty much be found all over this channel. What you're getting from working with me is I will keep you accountable. I will make sure that when you fall off, to make sure that you get back on track and that you stay the course until the goal is achieved. And if that doesn't resonate and you just like to hear me talk, then I just want to say thank you for giving me your time and energy by being here. So until next time, goodbye.